Hey guys, how's it going? Kripp here. So we've had a little bit of a new feature since the last patch, and this has to do only with Arena, and you guys have probably seen it. In a lot of my Arena games in the last few days, my opponent's name is unknown, and this has been a bug in the past, but not as systematic as it is right now. Generally, when the game would crash or when it would be lagging out or when it will just come out of maintenance, you'd see a few unknown opponents until you'd reset your client. But that's not the case. Since the last patch, every single time you play against a player in Arena, their name will be hidden under this unknown tag. And there's a bit of an exception for that. I think if you play against someone on your friends list, you instead do see their real name. And I think I only experienced that once or twice, but it seems to just be how it is right now. And because it was not a patch note as part of the last patch earlier this week, you have to assume it is a bug. But I really liked this bug, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the implications of it, and just kind of give you my thoughts on the whole Kripp versus people watching the stream thing that happens quite a lot, or used to happen quite a lot when streaming. So, now, for me, it has a better impact than, or a larger impact than most people, understandably. But I can tell you that a lot more of my games, since this change, this bug has happened, have been about the actual gameplay. You know, I can tell. I know sometimes it seems like I complain a lot, but it's pretty obvious to me when my opponent is saving cards for very specific answers, or my opponent is saving cards because they absolutely know I have a board clear, and sometimes it's reasonable to play against a board clear, but no, not always. We're not talking about just Flame Strike here. We're talking about, the weird ones that can happen that you really never play around. And, it's very difficult for me to actually play the game, because I'm not really playing the game. I'm not playing the strategic side. I'm not playing the probabilities of answers side. I'm just not playing the full Hearthstone game when I'm playing someone who's watching the stream. And it happens a lot more than you think, because Hearthstone is a game that you really need a lot of information to be good at. So, I'm pretty good at the game, but even still, I have learned from other players. I have learned from other people's mistakes, other people's experiences. I use tools to just, gain more knowledge about the statistics of things, because that is relevant to playing around cards when it comes to Arena, when everything is really a chance, a probability of your opponent having an answer. So I've learned a lot from the other people in the scene, I guess. And it's no different from a lot of the other people who do well in Arena. I would say there's almost no players out there that, can get, 12 wins unless they get obscenely lucky, or just do well reasonably in Arena regularly without knowing what the other people are doing out there from the community, from, streamers like me and all that kind of stuff. So generally, if someone is at a high win in Arena, there's a decent chance, not a certainty, but a decent chance they have heard of me. They have heard of Kripp. So when they queue in Arena, if they're not watching my stream, which, there's a lot more people playing Hearthstone than those watching my stream at any given time. There's no doubt about that, okay? But, if you queue up at Arena, you're at 8-0, and you see you're up against Kripp, well, you're probably going to go check out the stream and see if you might actually be playing against the real deal. And when you are, you're going to have an absurd advantage, and, it's kind of going to ruin my gameplay experience, and thus it's going to kind of ruin the viewer experience, because there isn't that much to learn about someone who knows every single move you're about to make, every single card you can have to counter every single one of their cards. So that's kind of where the stream sniping situation is. I know it happens. I feel it. I see it. I see it happening every now and then, not too frequently, below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins, something like that. But after that, it seems like almost every single opponent has a lot of these weird hints, a lot of these weird plays, a lot of these things that really kind of pop out in my mind as very unusual indicators that they might actually be stream sniping me. And I can tell you, since the patch, since all of your opponents are unknown in Arena, I have experienced almost none of this. None. I think, I could count the number of people I was quite sure were sniping me on one hand. And I played a hell of a lot of games since this patch went through. So it is a very big difference, and it is one that, I might try to combat in the future, because again, this is probably a bug. This is probably something that will be changed back to how it was. But at the same time, it's very difficult for me to have this change without hurting the streaming. And I can't really put in like a stream delay. So then, people who watch a stream, people who chat, kind of, get that experience ruined, because there's no back and forth between ideas, between thoughts, between plays, between discussions. So yeah, there's not too many things that I can do to fix this for the long term, but I can look into some that won't hurt the streaming side of things. But I just want to tell you guys, this is an amazing feature for someone like me, and it really made me realize quite critically, why do you see your opponent's name when you play Arena to begin with? What does it offer? What does it actually do? The answer, I think, is nothing, right? I mean, I get it in Constructed. You get to see their rank, you get to see their name, I guess, and sometimes you face, an opponent back to back. You remember their names, especially at the high legend ranks. A lot of the very good players know what other people are playing exactly because they've played against them 2 or 3 times. When they see their name, that's an advantage. That's a strategic decision to try to remember all the things that opponent has done before. So if you're playing against Bob 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Constructed at Legend rank, and you've played him 5 times before, and out of the 5 times, the 3 times he's playing Warlock, and it was an aggressive Warlock, and this time he's playing Warlock, the fact that you can see his name, you can use your memory to basically forward your chances to win against Bob. This is not true in Arena. In Arena, you have purely random cards. It happens quite rarely that you'd play against the same opponent back-to-back, and you do know their cards. So there's a little bit of this, but very, very little, and it affects almost none of the player base, because I've only really seen it happen past like 7 wins. Because again, in Arena, you're matched up against an opponent who has a very similar win record. At like 3-2, you're 100% of the time going to play an opponent at 3-2. At like 7-1, there might not be too many people queuing at 7-1, so you might match up against someone who's like 7-2. And because of that, you can match up against the same opponent back to back. But other than that, it offers nothing. There's just no point. You can still have exactly how it is right now. It seems like through this bug, in my opinion, they accidentally stumbled upon the perfect way to see your opponent's names as you play games in Arena. I don't think you should see your opponent's name when you start the game. You could see your opponent's name on your friends list, on your last played section, and that bypasses the unknown bug, and that's quite fair. If you played against your opponent and he seemed to be quite courteous, quite interesting, or maybe he experimented with some cards and you want to add him as a friend, you can still do that. You can see his name after the game, and you can still have that social side of things. And if you're playing against someone on your friends list, you actually do see their name past the unknown bug. So if you are coincidentally playing against someone on your friends list and you want to kick it, oh man, how's it going? I haven't played you in a while. It's quite amazing how we're playing against each other in Arena. You still see that right now. It's literally the perfect way to change this feature. And the reason I'm saying it is because I want to get my opinion out there. I want to tell you guys my side. It doesn't affect most players, but it affects someone like me quite a bit. That I think the way that it is structured right now is absolutely perfect. So before Blizzard takes, steps and makes an effort to change it back to how it was, I'm hoping maybe they would think again. But, you guys can let me know what you think. And, yeah, it is a very interesting change, isn't it? Where, Blizzard makes a patch. It doesn't have very many features at all. The few features that they did implement are actually really cool. But more than anything, the thing that affects my enjoyment of the game and my, playability of the game was a bug that might actually be fixed soon. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you think. I hope you have enjoyed my opinion, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.